Well, hello. Thought I'd do another live stream today. We'll center myself a little more here. Uh, on my own this time, no guest, just you guys. Anybody showing up in the chat? So it looks like we have. Oh, that's interesting. It says Liveo. Oh, live 021. Okay, it's a countdown. How long I've been live? Sorry, it looked like, yeah. Wear your glasses. I am. So we got 5 people on so far. I don't have anything earth-shattering to talk about. I just thought it's been a while since I've done one on my own, and it was a busy week. I didn't get around to Pens in Use or anything else. So here I am. Looks like we have ODE with us. So welcome, ODE. Little bit earlier in the day here. It's 1:30 my time. I guess that'd be 11:30. No, 13:30. Miss Marilyn Darling is here. Nick is here. We have Alan Perez. Yeah, it's very sunny, as you can probably tell. Very sunny and nice here. I was wearing my coat that I put on this morning when I had to go out and scrape ice off of my car. And by the time I went grocery shopping around noon, I was sweating inside that coat. And I'm wearing short sleeves, as you can see. Let's see who else is here. Oh, Germany, 9:30 p.m. there. And yeah, a lot of people here, so it's good to see. Last live stream I did, I had Mr. Carson Hauser, who is a cowboy poet. He read one of his poems, so if you haven't seen that one, it's worth watching just for the poem. But turns out he's an interesting guy. You'll learn a little bit about ag education, bull riding, and then how he does poetry. I got interested in interviewing some creative people because I've been running into a lot of channels on YouTube that are pretty obviously AI, and reading about authors who they publish a book and then all these other books that are very similar are produced, and they are realizing, hey, these are AI books. You know, on YouTube, or not YouTube, what's it called? Amazon, you can just self-publish. See who else is here. We have the Netherlands representing. I am not going to try to say that. I have a difficult Polish name, so, you know, Waski is a very shortened version of it. Yeah, I bought a couple of these. These are just cool shirts. I like, nobody can see it. I have one with aliens here playing guitar and wearing cowboy hats. And then the other one has, Octopus is wearing cowboy hats. I've got a couple more coming. They're just not here yet. One's a raccoon with a cowboy hat, but he's riding a log and he's hitting it kind of like Slim Pickens on Dr. Strangelove. Well, yeah, you would probably find him especially interesting. Yeah, he's. I was surprised how few people watched it, but you never know. Scotland is here. So anyway, don't really have a topic. Like I said, I'm just going to do Pens in Use and respond to user comments. Hopefully everybody can hear me. It sounds like you do. One thing I wanted to play with, but I don't see how to do it. So with him, I did most of it. We did a split screen. Like, except of course there's no screen to split with, which I was trying to show you. But anyway, we did split screen, which works for most of the interview. But I wanted, when we did, when he read his poem and performed it, I wanted to make him big and me small, because I'm just like, oh, awkwardly staring into the camera here. And I couldn't figure out what button to do that on. So yeah, I just sat there awkwardly and said, don't pick your nose, don't pick your nose, don't pick your nose. But it was good to pay attention to. It was very well performed. So it is not snowing here, but snow is expected Tuesday night. So it's coming. Our nice days, it looks like tomorrow is the last one for a while. Yeah, it's easy, especially when you're busy, to just get behind, and then you have to decide, okay, is it worth catching up? Is that one worth watching? And you know, it's difficult. Yeah, I haven't tried Streamlabs. I've been using StreamYard, mostly because I got familiar with it thanks to Mr. Peter Gustafson. But maybe I'll look at some other alternatives. I know I haven't heard of Streamlabs. Excuse me. I know Hemingway Jones uses, I don't remember, but I know he says he doesn't like it. So well, I won't use that one, whatever it is. Actually, this StreamYard, I use the free version. There, you can upgrade to a paid version. The cheapest paid version is $40 a month. Yeah, I make YouTube income, and the YouTube income would more than cover that. But I don't make enough from live streams to justify that. Probably because I don't do them enough. That is green tea. So don't worry, I'm not hiding something weird here. Did my coffee in the morning, and now I'm down to tea, herbal or green. So, excuse me. One thing I'll mention, I'm hopefully doing a review of this week. Since Miss Marilyn Darling is here, she sent me this pen. This is a Click President made in India. And it's got a flex nib on. Oh, let's see. This camera, who knows? Try this. that failed. Nope. Yeah, it's supposed to be able to do closer focus, but I think the fact that I'm holding it up, it doesn't work. So we'll just have to look at it down on the paper. I won't write with it today because I'm saving that for Tuesday. But anyway, that was loaned to me by Miss Marilyn Darling. She asked, what do I think so far? So I was surprised, definitely not vintage flex, but how bouncy it is. I did not expect that. And I have used one other Click pen on this channel, and it was not flex at all. It was a decent pen. I've given it to somebody, but yeah, not flex at all. So I was surprised how flexy it was, and I had thought, well, when I was told that this is going to be loaned to me, I thought, oh, I wonder if that's the Monteverde. Yeah, is it Monteverde that has a flex nib? Anyway, but no, it's a Click's own flex nib, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, and I'm going to be doing a video down the road. This is, I think, inspired her to send it. I'm going to do a presidential rodeo. We'll try to keep it non-political. Oh, thank you. Okay, that's what I've heard about the Yovo. I haven't, unless it's the Monteverde one, which they might be Yovo. They probably are. I have not probably used one. Yes, like I said, I was pleasantly surprised by this nib, so I will kind of save something for the video on Tuesday, otherwise, or Wednesday, whenever it is I release it. And I'm going to try to film some videos tonight. I'm actually going to film pens in use today after I'm done with the live stream, because I'm busy now. School's going, Science Olympiad's going, because they moved up our regional by a month. So I'm trying to get ahead. So it'll be pens in use for the previous week, but you'll see it like almost a week afterwards. But otherwise you're going to get what happened this week, and they just don't get made because I don't have time. Okay, so Monteverde used Yovo. Okay, so I used a Yovo Flex nib. All right, my Lamy 2000 is doing great. For those of you who don't know, a couple of weeks ago, it was just kept dripping out of the nib, and and I tried a couple fixes. I took it apart. I tried silicone grease because I thought, well, maybe the problem is just with the piston, and no. So I have an extra fine Lamy 2000. This is the body of that extra fine Lamy 2000 and the piston, and I put the fine nib that I prefer to use in it. The extra fine nib is sitting with the parts of the fine nibbed, well, formerly fine nibbed Lamy 2000. I guess I'm glad I know how to do that. That is It's frustrating. A pen you love, and then I didn't use it for so long, and I'm trying to remember why. Good reason. That's not coming to me right now. But anyway, all right, good thing because I kind of ran out of steam there. Yes, so I tried that flex nib. I don't even think it made it into a video. I was so disappointed with it. And how many years the first? That is a good question. I know I had this horrible thing happen one year where the Lamy 2000 I was using fell and went boop, nib first onto my floor in my classroom. And so I found out you can buy just the Lamy nib. So I bought the Lamy nib, and then it was doing the thing, like I said, where it was dripping. And I finally concluded that there were micro cracks all around the section. So I bought a new fine nib, Lamy 2000. And that's the one that was dripping. And I don't remember dropping it or anything, but it sat for a long time not being used. So it's easily possible I did drop it and just don't remember it. And anyway, yeah, I inked it up this fall and was very disappointed in it. But I've had this one, this nib I've had for quite a while. This is that fine nib that replaced the bent one that I dropped on the floor. I do own several Lamy 2000s of different nib sizes. The extra fine I bought a couple of years ago, the school changed paper, and I was just having all kinds of trouble writing on it with my Lamy 2000. So that's when I bought the extra fine one. But now I'm looking at that thinking, or was the dripping problem just getting started then? And then when it sat for a while, it just really got worse. Don't know. Yes, their broads are very stubby. I also have a double broad, an oblique broad, and an oblique double broad. I have an oblique medium nib, but it's not in a Lamy 2000. It's in a vintage pen. Glad to have you. So we're up to 23 people watching, so that's exciting. I'm just looking outside at my beautiful day out there. I got to make sure I schedule some time to work outside. Last week, and I never wait this long, last week I finally dug up my beets and carrots and potatoes. The beets, I got to figure out what to do with all those beets. Carrots were meager this year, very sad, like a lot of my garden this year. And the potatoes, I made a recipe that called for 3 cups of sliced potatoes. And by the time I got through made 3 cups of sliced potatoes, I'm like, oh, I've just got a couple of little ones left. Great. So potatoes weren't great either. And I don't usually grow them. Welcome, Cesar. Yes, that is a lot of nibs. I am kind of embarrassed by how many Lamy 2000s I have. But then when I look how many pens I have, like, okay. I just should be embarrassed overall. I do have a lot of typewriters and slide rules also. Yeah, the oblique double broad, I'm more of a fan of the double broad that's not the oblique, but it definitely makes for an interesting writing experience. So just a little bit of variety. No, I think that's part of why I like to have more than one pen, is just to get that variety. The fun of fountain pens is you're not just writing with a little ball on a piece of paper that you don't really get any choice. You've got like a handful of colors and that's it. You have almost too much choice in the world of fountain pens. Do you want to go vintage? Let's throw that in there. All the exotic nibs that Sailor has. There's just, and this wealth of ink. I've got my ink sitting here behind me, plus a box down the basement. And I've set myself a goal of using up colors because I have so much ink. And it's easy to just, oh, that's a pretty color. And then next thing you know, you've got more ink bottles than you know what to do with. But anyway, yeah, you're spoiled for choice with fountain pens. Yes, you showed us on your when we did the live stream with you how much ink you have, and yes, it's a lot. And you don't even have the, and you do a lot of the samples too, which I've never been much of a sample guy, and I probably should have been. Back when Goulet Pens did their, was it called Ink Swatch? Was the only time I really got into samples. Light pressure writer or hard? So that's a good question. Pierre Gustafson would tell you that I'm a very hard writer, but what was it over here? That's not in reach. I have a what's called a remarkable tablet. That's the brand name, not, it's an e-ink tablet, and I use it a lot at school. But I've watched several videos where the user complains about all the tapping noise as you write on it. And I'm just like, what tapping noise? And they'll pull their microphone down near the tablet and tap, 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 tap. I wouldn't have that. Partly, I think, because I write in cursive, but partly, I think it is the fountain pen thing. Pierre Gustafson would say I'm a very hard writer, but I would say compared to most writers that don't use fountain pens, I'm actually a very light writer. So that's an interesting question. And how do you measure that? Yeah, I've been very good at not buying ink. Oh, sorry, I had my phone laying here and just found out that one of my colleagues, they're taking their son to Denver for medical attention. Okay, on that note, I'm sorry. I never get texts, so and that was quite the one to read here live on air. Okay. Let's see, Miss Merrill. Oh yeah, 400 samples and 200 bottles. It's so easy because one bottle of ink, unless you're buying, expensive ink, which does exist, a bottle of Parker Quink is usually a little under $10. They're not expensive. You buy something, you're like, throw a bottle of ink in there too. Not counting the diamond. Yeah, I don't do ink vents, so probably a good thing. Yeah, I knew you meant pressure. When you're doing this chat thing, you type it and it goes up, and you're like, wait, no, that's a typo, and too bad, you can't fix it. It's too late. Or the auto correct fixes it for you. Like, no, I did not mean that at all. Yeah, the light touch is better. I think because we are fountain pen users, that's how we are on them. What is his name? Voya is one that I follow, and he is definitely tapping really hard. He's definitely a ballpoint pen user. Yeah, I think I have never tried one. I have seen them. I guess I've been protected by you have too much ink and you're not buying any more ink. Yeah, that would do it. Okay, yeah. So if you're housing it for an ink club, I guess you can get away with that. I I don't think I could have an ink club here in my little small town in North Dakota because there are people that use fountain pens, but nobody like me. And yeah, not enough interest is more than, oh, this is just the pen I'm using right now. Yeah, because I can write for quite a long time, either on that tablet or honestly, I don't write with ballpoint pens very much, but I can write with them because I don't press down very hard with them because of the instincts developed over years and years of fountain pen usage. And indeed, Voya is probably more detailed than most of us need. Voya is, even though Remarkable isn't his favorite, is seeing him use the Remarkable that convinced me to buy one. Okay. No, I do not need any more ink. I'm trying to use up what I have. That's There's all kinds of ink back there, and like I said, another box in the basement. So I've been focusing. Excuse me. I should have muted for that. Apologies. I've been trying to use up my a few bottles at a time, but I couldn't limit myself to just 8 bottles being up here. So I've got like 2 of each color family, so I can switch back and forth, and then it's not as monotonous with pens in use either. But yeah, that I don't know if there is that perfect, because perfect for what? If I'm just doing my daily thing or writing for me, Lamy 2000. Or is it my Pilot Custom 823, my Parker Sonnet? I mean, I use the Lamy 2000 exclusively through the winter, through the school year, but I enjoy those other pens too. So, which is it? I just keep using them. And then I like different things about them. Like one first day of school one year, I forgot my Lamy 2000, but I was used to carry pens to school with me in a pouch also. This happened to be in that pouch. It's a Schaefer. Of course, I'd forget all of a sudden. It's a Schaefer with a Triumph nib, and I can't remember what it's called. All of a sudden, Imperial Deluxe. There we go, Imperial Deluxe 2. Now that I've made a fool of myself. Sonnet. Yeah, I like the Parker Sonnet. I pressed mute that time to clear my throat. I have been a fan of Parker. My very first fountain pen ever was a Parker Vector. I have heard in the comments whenever I do a Parker pen that Parker pens tend to dry out. And I just haven't had that experience. I don't know what that means. Either I've gotten lucky, or they are unlucky, or something, or I just use them frequently enough that I don't notice they dry out. And when I have that Parker Sonnet inked up, I will go through that and it usually takes me a week or two, because I usually put the black ink in it, but I'll go through it pretty quickly. Yeah, the Noodler's Conrad, I haven't used them as often as I used to, but when I got into actually collecting fountain pens and buying them more than those handful I used regularly, I wanted a pen with a piston filling mechanism. Now at that time, the Noodler's Conrad had not come out. They had the Noodler's Nib Creeper, which is a more slender pen, and I bought several of them. I was excited. Oh, I finally have a piston. And then when the Parker Conrad came out, I was just like, oh, angels are singing. And then they came out with the acrylic ones and the ebonite ones, and yeah, I liked them. I don't use them as much now. What I do now more is I put different nibs in them if I use them. I'm not as much of a fan of his nibs. I have bought one Ahab in my life. Some reason I'm just not a fan of the Ahab. So I use that Ahab for one ink. It's a very, very unfriendly ink, let's say. And it's a Noodler's ink. Kung to Chung, I think, is how it's said. Anyway, that's the only thing I use my Ahab in. But yeah, Conrad. Nathan did a lot of things right with the Conrad. And I recognize a lot of Conrad in this. I don't think Nathan makes the pen bodies. I believe the pen bodies are an Indian manufacturer, but I can't remember which one. But it's a very good design. Okay. My second would probably be an Admach M400 or Majan. Okay, I don't think I've ever used an Admach. Yeah, and as I got into this, I realized that true story, no longer own any of the nib creepers that I had bought. I gave them all away. They're fine. They satisfied me back then for what I wanted. A piston filling pen, but now I have, much nicer piston filling pens or vacuum filling pens. I've got bigger and better. And oops, sorry, I already showed that comment. What do we got here? Somehow I starred that. I don't know what that means. Oh yeah. So that's kind of one of the fun things with Noodler's pens is you can try different nibs in them. And you've got a very nice feed there that's ebonite, so you can heat set it if you need to and experiment. Years ago, I bought this Stipula Etruria. Sorry, it took me a minute because I kept thinking saffron, but no, Stipula. I bought the Stipula Etruria with a T-flex nib in it, and it would write beautifully until it quit. I took that T-flex nib out. I put it in a Noodler's Conrad or a Chinese pen, a Jinhao maybe. It worked perfectly there. But I could never get it to work in that Stipula until one day I magically, don't know what I did, but I did the magic. And so we're leaving the nib and feed where they are, not touching them again. But during that time, a viewer had actually sent me a T-flex nib. So that is now in a Noodler's Conrad. Yes, and you can just take it apart, clean all that shimmer out. I am careful what pens I put shimmering inks in because your next ink will probably have some shimmering qualities. Yes, I have wanted to try it. I haven't done it yet, but I would very much like to try it. Now that the T-Flex works, I'm seeing a lot of joy in it. Yeah, I had a few that leaked and I just could not stop them. They were just so incontinent. I couldn't figure it out. The ones that I still have were not incontinent. So I think part of the problem with the Noodler's pen sometimes is the quality control, because you get great and then you get and it's a one-man show there, so it's hard for him to do true quality control. Okay, yeah, the Parker 61, I do own two because I've owned one and then I was sent one. And, the biggest problem with them, which maybe it's a problem, maybe it isn't, you can't really clean them. If you're into changing inks, you're out of luck. You pick your color and you stick with it, and that is that. Yeah, I got lucky when I found mine. I actually bought it from I can't remember the name of the store, but it was one in Malaysia, which was part of the problem with trying to get it fixed or repaired or whatever. Don't do that ever again. Yeah, like I said, some of them I've been able to fix. Some of them work perfectly out of the box, and some of them I never fixed. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Because mine I will leave sit in the drawer for a while and pull it out. And I know it doesn't get perfectly clean. I usually write it dry, so there's still ink in it. So then I had blue in this last time, didn't I? Yeah. So you asked about country. So in the past, I had this goal of every continent, and I do now own a pen from every continent. The only one not represented is Antarctica, and I have the feeling that that's just never going to happen because of the nature of Antarctica. As far as countries, I there aren't many countries now making fountain pens, so flush that one down. For a while, I was trying to buy some made in South America. I think I've got one or two to review yet. And it seems like Argentina was the country that made them. I would be interested maybe in a Mexican pen if pens were made in Mexico. In Europe, there were a lot of small pen manufacturers in a lot of different countries. So I would still be interested. There was one pen I bought. I thought it was Finnish. No, it said it had advertising on it for a Finnish bank, but it was not a Finnish pen. So Finland would be one. I have Swedish and I have Norwegian pens. I have Danish pens. I don't think I have any from Switzerland. I think there is still one made in Switzerland. I have a Polish pen. I'd be interested in several from behind the Iron Curtain that I haven't been represented yet. It's a good question. I guess I don't know what. I might be curious to see if more Asian countries made them. Were any made in North, or probably not North Korea, South Korea? I think actually I take that back. I think TWSBI is Korean, isn't it? Yeah, yeah, and I agree with that. The Parker 61 was a wonderful writer. It's the writing experience of a Parker 51 with where it's easier to see where the nib is. Yeah, I used to keep one, and for some reason I quit. But I look at my pens in use as being that. Yep, it was a Schaefer Imperial Deluxe. See, there's last week's pens in use. Oh yeah, Monarca ink. I have heard of that. Then I have to buy more ink. Then I'm in trouble. Karandash, yeah. I know they make ink. I guess I don't know. No, I think they do. I don't know if I've seen a fountain pen from them. They probably do make fountain pens. Maybe it's the one I'm thinking of. There was one that had I wanted it, but I didn't buy it. But it had a part that glowed in the dark, and I just thought it looked cool. But then I thought, well, when I'm writing, I'm not going to be looking at this glow in the dark part because I need light to write. And when it's dark, I'm not going to be using my pen. So anyway, I never bought it, but it looked cool. Taiwan, not Korea. No, South Korea. Okay, I apologize. TWSBI Taiwan. Oh yeah, I think the T does stand for Taiwan. I have not tried that. There are a lot of brands out there. And where do you draw the line? Do you draw, what about all these boutique makers? Where does Edison classify, or Bexley, or some of those kind of manufacturers? So I haven't tried to do that. I don't own a peniter, for example. The only peniter I have is the Peniter Inkwell, which I do like. Oops. Oh, sorry. Get to you. Yeah. Okay. So ODE does try to do that. I guess I never have. I'm actually a little interested in the modern Schaefer, just because it's been bought by somebody who, at least in interviews, sounds excited about the brand and about doing good things with it. So I am interested to see what Schaefer brings to the table. I've seen one pen from them, and I don't know, is it a price I just like, I don't think right now. Maybe we'll see some reviews and I'll be able to. Okay, so after I'm done, Miss Marilyn Darling is going to be doing a, oops, sorry, I'm looking through my microphone here. Is going to be doing an ink review. So jump over to her channel after I'm done blabbing here. And Diamine ink vent calendar. Okay. TWSBI Taiwan. Yep, thank you. Yeah, and I don't know why I said South Korea. Something fountain pen comes from South Korea. Is it Colorverse Ink maybe? I might be wrong about that too. I have made lots of mistakes. Yeah, and that's my big thing is haven't been buying lots of modern pens, very few modern pens. I've been buying a lot of vintage when I buy pens. I actually have not bought any pens in quite a number of months. I thought paying off my house would be like, oh, I'm free. I have money. And no, if anything, I've gotten tighter with my money since paying off the house. It's like getting rid of that stress in my life made me more careful with my money or something. So I have one of each nib, and except for like the extra fine and the ultra extra fine, because I don't care for I didn't care for the fine, so I'm not planning to go any smaller than the fine. But so yeah, no plans there. I have the koi finish. That's my expensive one. And then I have a couple of their special editions from over the years. And then, of course, there's standard ones. But yeah, no plans of adding to the 3776s. I wish I'd had better luck with my celluloid with them. I was very disappointed with how that one just seems to shrink and grow. And then sometimes the ring around the cap is loose, sometimes it's tight. And anyway, it was very disappointing. It looked beautiful, but disappointing. Okay, thank you. So something is made in South Korea. I'm not totally crazy. Okay, so you're both going to do the calendar. I will not be. Yeah, and I try to cycle amongst my pens. I've gotten this habit lately of leaving the pens as I clean them up on the bookshelf that's in the front of my living room, but then it gets hard to dust around. But that forces me to pull from the drawers. But then when I pull from the drawers and add more on top of the bookshelf, it just gets harder and harder to dust around. So one of my projects with this upcoming Thanksgiving break is to put all them away in the case and take off those caked on layers of dust that are on top of my bookshelf. But that does force me to use them. Yeah, the koi is pretty. I don't like how it shrinks and grows. And yeah, that's another reason I have not been buying. Besides that general, I seem to have become cheap since paying off the house. I'm nervous about buying something from overseas now. I just don't want to get messed up in tariffs. Well, I'm glad you learned something from me. I want to start doing some repair videos again. I was thinking about that the other day that I wanted to do a video on how to resack a pen and talk about pressure bars, and I just haven't done that. Or filling mechanisms. I thought about, let's do a filling mechanism rodeo where we hit the different ways fountain pens can be filled. I've got some exotic accordion fillers. They don't work anymore because the latex is bad, but just to see them and say, this was a filling mechanism that existed. So that's something, actually, I might try to film that either over Thanksgiving or Christmas break, because it's going to take a little time and prepping and stuff. And I'll probably forget some filling mechanism, or there'll be some filling mechanism that's out there. I don't own an example. So anyway, that'll be something fun. I have not done a inventory video of my inks. I'm a little embarrassed by how many I own. I do own a Rotring core. I've had it on the channel. In fact, it's laying in the kitchen waiting to be cleaned right now. Very exotic looking pen, but I'm starting to see a few issues with it. Like the rubberized grip section is kind of peeling. And something about my body chemistry seems to be hard on rubberized grips. They turn soft. Like I used to use a Wacom tablet to teach with, and the rubberized grip on the stylus for that would get all after a few years. Now I teach with my remarkable tablet. You know, to me, if the pen is a great writer, that's the main thing. But I'm also somebody who owns an awful lot of pens that look like this. They're just pure black. So yes, something like this Twisby Draco can turn my head, but what really keeps the relationship going is, do I like writing with it? Well, that's why the Lamy 2000 and I have been friends for so long. I love writing with it. So yeah, I would say get used to it, because that is a great feeling to have a pen in your hand that just kind of disappears as you're writing, and you don't even think, oh, that's so pretty. You're just writing and thinking only about the writing. It's like your brain connects directly to the paper, and you don't even realize there's a hand in the fountain pen in the way. Or I don't know. I'm not a very good poet. We'll get Carson Hauser back on here to put it into words what I'm trying to express. Let's see. Oh, that wasn't done for me. Actually, very well. I'm in a small town, so I don't get the turnover that I would, say, if I was in a Bismarck or something. But I do get turnover. I do get books up here and there. And I think I get travelers, because my town is where for North Dakota, two major highways intersect. So people going through looking for a book that know about little free libraries would see mine. So yeah, it gets more traffic than you'd think. In the winter, not as much. I have a light in it. I have it's LED lights, like the little fairy lights, but they're on a battery powered thing. I did have a solar powered one out there, but that doesn't work in the winter. So I bought a battery powered one, and I just use rechargeable batteries in it, so I'm not being bad for the environment. And so I keep it lit, at least for a few hours in the evening. I don't know exactly when it goes off. I'm usually in bed by the time it does that. And so should you be. But yeah, it's been going very well. I've also done some trades with other little free libraries, so now I look for them when I travel. Like I did a live stream, or not a live stream, a visit to two of them when I went to the state cross country meet, when I did that really, really long Pens in Use, because I saw one in Ypsilanti, North Dakota, and then I saw another one in Cleveland, North Dakota. So I did a trade at both, and there was a third one I tried to do, but I couldn't find it. I drove up and down the street 3 times. It was this I shouldn't say very upscale, but somewhat upscale neighborhood in Bismarck. And I finally thought, you're going to get the police called on you, because you're driving this trashy 25-year-old car with rust on it that's covered with mud, because I haven't taken it to a car wash in years. And you look really suspicious driving up and down the same street. So I decided to stop looking for it before I had to deal with the police and say, hey, my driver's side window does not roll down. So what do we do here? I don't want that confrontation with the police. So I went on my way. Yeah, that would be interesting to hear from ODE. His videos are always very clear. So I would be interested. I've licked a lot of the problems I have with the live streaming. The lighting's not amazing, but this camera I have, let's pull it up here. So this is the camera that I use to do the writing samples. So it's a Panasonic Lumix. I bought it with YouTube money last around Christmas, I guess, because I had, it's not a cheap camera. I really have struggled with it. The trouble with my camcorder is I was having too many times where I'd record the whole writing sample, then, it didn't record. Nothing's on the card. I have to do it again. So I got tired of that. So I finally decided to branch out. Just stick the card back in while I'm talking before I forget. Because I took some video with it. Anyway, but getting it figured out has been more of a learning curve than that camcorder. The camcorder, what I struggled with at first was white balance and exposure, because everything was too dark and it wasn't the right color. So I had to learn how to do white balance. I had to learn how to do color adjusting. And then once I got it, and it worked perfectly. The autofocus was great because it would do close-ups, it would do far away. It was used to that. The thing with a camera like this, although it has video capability, is designed, number one, to be a camera, which is to take still photographs. And then, they're getting better about the video ability, because this is a camera that you can record forever video. A lot of digital cameras like this have a time limit of about 15 minutes that they can do video, like the one that's always on me. This one does not have that time limit. But I took a long time to figure out the autofocus. The lighting, I'm getting close. White balance I have figured out. Unless I change this or have this open, I have white balance figured out. I've got perfect settings for that. But autofocus, this camera would see it and then lose it. And it would hunt for a while, and it was just frustrating. So I finally figured out, what if I just do a much bigger depth of field and bump up the ISO so I can get the proper, exposure. And that seems to have done it. Yes, it is still hunting. I know it is. But it has enough to play with that you as the viewer don't see it. Maybe it takes a second to get an object brought up close into focus. I can edit that out as long as I'm careful not to talk over it, and works pretty well. But yeah, I'd love to hear more ideas from ODE. So I'd like someday to talk to him, do a live stream with him. We just have to work out a convenient time, because it's 1:30 my time, and now it's 2 o'clock my time. And what did he say? 23 o'clock? So it's getting toward midnight his time. So there's a bit of a time difference. Okay, yeah, the Skyline. So I'm assuming this is the modern version of the Skyline, not the original vintage version. I do own a modern Skyline. I think I owe a revisit to it too. I was very down on it when I bought it because of the packaging. I've still got the weird wind-up car that came with it, which why I was wanting to buy a pen, not a toy car, and the big fancy box. But I've grown to like it as a pen. I just don't ink it up very often, so maybe I should do that. Yeah, inventory. I might have to watch that. Okay. Yeah, that's. I think there are some out there, because I've seen people doing pen repair videos, but they're older. And then Richard Binder is an excellent resource on vintage pens. I use his website quite a lot, and his books. But yeah, as far as people making videos on them now, I don't think there's very many. So yeah, hopefully I can add something to that world, because I learned a lot with the ones I've had to restore. Now I'm trying to build up the nerve to do some repairs on pistons. I've done 1 or 2, but that's it. Striped celluloid cap. Huh. So I don't like to use liquids other than water with my fountain pens. And there's a couple of fountain pens that are made out of a material you don't want to use water with either, at least to soak them. But yeah, I try not to use anything stronger than water, because alcohols will do awful things to celluloids, and I'm assuming ebonite. I don't know, but maybe somebody else can suggest something, but yeah, water is the strongest liquid I use. Okay, I remember it. Um, yeah, I'm learning. I've learned lighting. We have a photographer that does our sports photographs at school, and a different one who does the student photographs. And I'm one of the yearbook advisors, so I get to be there when they're doing that. And it's interesting seeing what all is involved with the lighting. Like the one that does the portraits of the kids has a full lighting setup and lights up on stands, a flash, and all kinds of crazy stuff. The one that does the sports photographs, it kind of depends. Like we just did junior high basketball pictures, and she just used a speed light on the top of her camera. But with the high schoolers, she does a green screen. So then she has this whole, well, the green screen, she's got several other lights, and it's quite a process then. Um, it's also told me, as much as I enjoy the taking pictures and taking videos, I would absolutely hate doing her job because it is so much of no, turn a little more, trying to figure out how to pose everybody when you do a team picture. And then we have to make this year different than last year. And then you get the, I'm sorry, it's a little sexist, but it's true. The girls' teams, especially, are very particular about their hair and how they look. The boys are like, oh, should I comb my hair? The girls take longer. So I couldn't do what she does. Bennu makes very pretty pens. That is something I will give them credit for. Um, I own a Foxglove. That's my only Bennu pen. Pretty. Oh, we have Prague here. That is on my, if I ever get to Europe, that's on my list of big cities I want to visit. Yes. So for anyone who doesn't know, I drive a 25-year-old Toyota Camry that has rust on it. And like I was telling that story about earlier today, where I'm driving up and down the same street 3 times in this suspicious looking vehicle that does not fit in that neighborhood. So I got new tires for it this spring, and I made the decision this spring that when the tires wear out, I'm done with the car. So going by past history, a set of tires usually lasts me about 5 years. I drive on a lot of gravel, so that's part of why they don't last so long. But that's what I decided is when the tires need replacing, the car will get replaced. And I should have more than enough money in cash in my bank account, thanks to not doing house payments anymore, to cover that. And a couple other expensive things I need to buy. I can retire in 10 years, so I want to have that new car purchased before that. I also want to have some things for the house purchased. I want to get some new furniture for my house. I mean, this is the furniture. When I started living on my own back in fall of 1999, for the most part, this was my furniture. Now, some pieces have been added, some taken away. I have more bookshelves than I did back then, but I'm basically using the same furniture from 1999. So I'd like to replace that too before I retire. Um, and if possible, there's some work I'd like to do on my house before I retire, while I'm still making money. But then after getting the house paid off, there was a little bit of just, but then I started looking at my bank account and thinking, and my other funds, because I don't want to get into dollar amounts because that's nobody's business but mine. But I have a Roth IRA and a 403B. And I started thinking about, how much money is in them and realizing that, holy cow, plus you get the teacher pension. And after I retire, I won't be paying into those 2 things anymore. So when I retire, before I even start getting Social Security, I'm going to be making more money than I am right now. Now, I'll have to cover my own health insurance till I'm old enough for Medicare. But I'm going to be in a better financial position after I retire than I am now. So that's got me questioning some of that. Can you just push it off a little longer? So anyway, good problem to have, but new vehicle probably in 5 years. Let's see. Yeah, I have used my phone when I started doing YouTube, I actually did not have a phone. I did not own a cell phone. I did a couple of videos with my iPad. The trouble with my iPad is it was one of the early ones. It had very low resolution, and I had no way to hold it over the pens except holding it with my hand. So eventually I started using the camera that I use for sports photographs and stuff. I don't remember why I quit using that. Anyway, I've been upgrading slowly over the years, and I'd saved enough YouTube money to buy this because it is a very nice camera. And it is amazing. This is not what I bought it for, but I've discovered this is true. It is amazing. You know how I've now, my titles have a little bit of North Dakota landscape? It's amazing for taking those videos. Absolutely amazing. It does such a good job. And landscape photos, wildlife photos. Next time I go home, I will probably take this camera with me, even though it's a little large, just because it does so much. It's amazing. So 8K, I wonder how many of my viewers can even view 8K. I have seen some 8K cameras for sale, but I don't know how many people even would watch that. Like, you could probably on an 8K tell the spot on my neck where I missed when I shaved this morning. A little scary. That'll probably come someday, but my computer struggles a little with a larger 4K video, so I probably need to upgrade my computer first. Yeah, I don't actually do much video during snow because my rule, I drive a Toyota Camry. My rule is if you don't have to drive on bad roads, don't. So if the roads are bad and I'm thinking, oh, I need to go to Dickinson and buy some whatever. Oh, never mind. I'm just going to stay home and wait till the roads are good. And North Dakota has a very nice DOT website that shows the road conditions. So you can just look on it and say, oh, snow covered all the way to Dickinson, or icy on these patches on the way to Dickinson. Nope, staying home. So yeah, my driving video footage in winter is not that exciting. It's very rare that I have to be out in bad conditions. And usually that happens because I get somewhere and then the weather changes and I wasn't expecting it. And then I go, oh, shoot, I got to go home. Cardinal Pen. Yes, thank you. I had that as a note to myself to mention that, and totally forgot because I started reading comments. So I want to thank Alan Perez for bringing this up. So I used to be a big fan of Anderson pens. One of the things I liked about them is they had vintage supplies and vintage pens. And then also, the Andersons are just very personable people. I've never met them. I always had a goal of going to see their store in Appleton, Wisconsin. I never made it, and now I'll never have the chance. But due to some stuff that they went into, I don't need to go into, they lost the store and the online business. But they are back as Cardinal Pens, and so I explored their website a little. I haven't bought anything yet, but I'm probably going to, just to show some support. But yeah, the Andersons are back. I knew they would be, just because of the kind of people they are. Very passionate about fountain pen world and the writing world and the vintage world especially. And so I wish them well, and hopefully I can drive a little business their way. So thank you for reminding me about that. Okay, so this is a good question. I'm not sure I'm going to give a good answer. So I own one newish mobile. It's like from the early 1980s. It's a 146. I don't know what as of 2025, what their resin is like. I would say, just based on that pen and the vintage ones that I own, I think Moldbloom has a better resin. But these are very well made. They're plastic, just like a Moldbloom is, but it just, on that 146, it feels more quality than this, but I don't have an objective, good, intelligent answer. Okay. So glad you're able to be here. I'm about to close this off too, because I've been going for an hour, but good luck on your stream. Maybe I'll dive in there while I'm working on my other stuff. Let's see here. What else we got here? Okay, yeah, that good point. Ground Me Up Pens hasn't done them in a while, but he's a good resource for learning how to repair pens. Sorry, I'm reading comments and talking at the same time. Oh boy. Okay, so you bought a vintage Skyline, and here's somebody else singing the praises of the Andersons. Cardinal Pens goes live. Oh, okay. I will check that out. Thank you. Got some more fans. All right. So on that note, it has been about an hour, and I got to film an episode of Pens in Use. So and I got to have enough voice left to do that. So I want to thank everybody for joining in. It's been fun. I always get nervous and kind of dread doing this, but then I have fun doing them. So I want to thank all of you for joining in on this live stream. If you are interested, jump over to Miss Marilyn Darling's channel, where she is starting a live stream right now about ink. And so thank you very much. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.